There's a rumor that you wrote a song for Mojo Monday, and we're gonna have to get you to write an industry update song.
I'm not sure how that
Just
sounds.
To put it
it's
out
an
there
industry update. I may have to go country for that one. I don't know, or rap.
There you go. Sean's supposed to join us. I don't know if he's popped on just yet, but nonetheless, let's go.
Let's go.
So what's your feeling? Like, before we even dive into anything, it's March 20th. We're pretty much, I mean, the first quarter is more or less in the books at this point. Like, you're not going to write a contract today. It's closing in the next 10 days. You might, but more or less first quarter's in the books. How are we feeling?
I mean, there's definite concern in the marketplace. There's definitely concern in the media, but, they're always seeking out bleeding edge information anyway, causing alarm. The alarmists always get eyeballs, and that's the goal for, marketing and advertising. But at the end of the day, there's still transactional volume. There's still opportunity. So regardless, it's just like the shift of 2008, 9, 10, 11. I mean, there's still winners and losers. And so it's a smaller pool, and we're all swimming, maybe it's a little shallower, more shallow, but there's still opportunity. That's what I see.
100%. I mean, you said there's winners and losers. I agree with that statement. I think when a market tightens a little bit, in hot market, everybody's a winner. Everybody gets a trophy, right? In tighter markets, the people that work, do the activities and are strategic win, and they win big, and actually they win bigger sometimes, but at the cost of the people that don't do the activities, or at the cost of the people that are just shell-shocked by the fact that it's not as easy as it once was. It's probably a good way to put it, right?
Perfect way to put it.
Yeah. Sean, before we even dive into numbers, first quarter's in the books, basically. Yeah. It's March 20th. How are we feeling?
So we're living an interesting life because the statistics don't necessarily mirror the profitability we're showing. So we're feeling great from a profitability standpoint, but what we see is listing inventory continues to be low. Units written are down, contracts are down. The only predicating factor that we can really work on is earnest money checks. And man, we've got more earnest money checks coming in than we can deposit in a day, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And that speaks to where I wanted to go first. So I was pulling up the realestatestats.com. Everybody's got access to this. And when you look at Atlanta average sales price monthly, I find it interesting that average sales price increased from January to February by $10,000. So you can see that January 2023, the average sales price was $406,500, and we went to $418,800, a little over $10,000. And it's the first time prices actually went up. Yet, if you look at the comparison of February 2022 to February 2023, prices are up 1.3%. Now, is that a good or a bad thing?
I mean, it's a good thing if you're selling at the higher volume, higher price point, you're going to make more money. So it's a good thing. But ultimately, again, if units are down, but average sales price stays up, it just tells you that not everybody's a winner. Not everybody's able to buy. Ultimately, the question is, are you getting your unfair share of the transactions that are available?
Yeah. So I wanted to show people.
I think you also have to go back. I mean, go back to the the second bar graph there, Brett. Go to February of 2020, and let's put that 1% into a 3-year perspective.
Yeah.
3 years, they've gone from about 317 to 319.
303 to 419.
There we go. So sorry, my glasses are not on. But like the increase is there. What we're up is 1% over last year, which was coming off a quarter in which we had 21% appreciation in the fourth quarter.
100%.
Which is not sustainable and not healthy.
But I want to show a trajectory here for a minute. So this is January 22. Prices went up in February, up in March, up in April, up in May, kind of flat in June. and then came down the second half of the year a little bit. And now we're getting into spring market here. Let me back out so you can see it. I'm expecting prices to go up through about halfway through the year and then come back down a little bit. Why is that important? Is because every conversation you're having with a seller right now is about, hey, this is price appreciation season. If you want to get as much money as you can for your house, we need to list it now because prices will start to taper off second half of this year. Historically, you can show that.
Yeah. In shift, Gary Keller would call this a MOFA, right?
Yeah.
Making an offer for immediate response. This is a message to share with people on the fence about listing their house. That's a MOFA.
Yeah, 100%. And I like to remind people, price appreciation or depreciation is the relationship to what the value of the property was a year prior. It's not what it was a month prior. It's what it was worth a year prior. So it's really important to kind of keep that perspective. All right, well, let's jump in. We're looking at 640 active inventory in Fulton County. We took a little dip last week. We were high at the beginning of the month. So it looks like it just kind of started to climb back up. What I like about this active inventory is it's pretty comparable or considerably up from where we were operating in the month of February. So we actually do have more houses on the market in March right now, which I think is a good thing because as demand starts to climb, we actually have inventory to sell them. 153 are under contract. Remember, it's all about perspective. The last 30 days, 153 over a 7-day period is probably a pretty good number. 322 pending, highest it's been. Remember, we're climbing. And then, of course, 274 in the sold category in the middle of the month. I'll take it. That's a really healthy number for Fulton County right now. And, you know, Sean, as you were saying, you know, unfortunately, when you're watching statistics, we're hanging out in the rear view mirror most of the time. It's like what's already happened, and we're trying to figure out how to predict where we're going. And in the real estate industry, there's really only kind of two predictors. One is showings. Like if we can get a grip on how fast a property is showing, it's a predictor where we're going. But the other is actually earnest money deposits or properties going under contract, right? So those indicators show good things for us. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Rick.
and I'd roll in multiple offers and buy, you know, are we driving prices and what are terms and conditions elements looking like right now in contracts? And, you know, the days of sight unseen, all cash, no contingencies, that's probably, I haven't seen a lot of that of late. But I think the data does point to stability, which is a little surprising, but this is just Fulton County, of course.
Yeah.
So as we work through, it'll be interesting to see all the counties.
Well, here's the cab. We're at 347 active inventory. Not as high as last week, but still a healthy number. 85 under contract outside the end of the month. That's a good number. Pending 198. I'll take it. And then, of course, closed 188. I mean, you go right back to here and everything climbed. So those are really good ramp up spring market kind of numbers. If I run out to Cobb or other big county, 373 active, which is pretty healthy number for Cobb County. 99 under contract, healthy number. Sorry, my mouse moved. 226 pending, highest outside of middle of February. And then 196 closings, same deal. Look at this buildup of closings going into the spring market. So Rick, I mean, it held true in most of the big counties.
It'd be interesting to see year over year exactly where we sat. You can go
You
back
can read that. I'll hand it to you. Looks like a big squiggly line.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could go back and try to figure it out, but March last year was right here. So are we up or down? Probably a little down on inventory. a little bit down, and maybe a little bit down where we were a year ago. But if you remember on this call, we used to talk about how the year of 2022 was 2 years wrapped into one. The first half was a totally different year than the second half of the year. And we're tracking the second half of the year right now, not the first half. So honestly, year over year comparison is probably going to start to play out the second half of this year, I think.
Looks
You know, I
pretty
think
close.
put this in relative perspective to what the first article you were talking about is. Someone's out there selling houses.
Yeah, for
Question
sure.
is, what are you doing to make sure you're the one that's getting your unfair share of the listings, right?
Yeah.
And it takes absolute work, right? And sometimes it takes gritting through it. And I'll brag because I see her sitting on this call. Stephanie Calderon in my office got very committed to doing her lead generation. Stephanie texted me over the weekend. She has 6 listings coming up this month, all directly related to it. But it didn't just show up. It's showing up 90 days after a commitment to making the call. So Stephanie, I'm very proud of you. Congratulations.
There you go. All right.
Oh,
So
thank you so
clickbait.
much.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Hit it, Stephanie. Come on. We're bragging on you.
No, yeah, thank you. I actually took another listing on Friday, so I am so happy. So it's yeah, I mean, definitely lead generation works. It's kind of like impatient sometimes that it takes a while, but I'm so happy to finally see the results.
There you
Stephanie,
go.
can I pick on you for just a minute since you're right here? When
Yes.
you started this journey, didn't we have a number of meetings where you're like, I'm making the calls, but it hasn't quite happened yet?
Yeah, and thank you for keep pushing and helping me see that this was an opportunity. The market was shifting. So
That's
getting
right.
on this calls also has helped me be educated when I go on the appointments, because it shows that I have a pulse on the market as well.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Awesome. So, gentlemen, this one's clickbait for a minute. And the Zillow CEO, Rich Barton, who I actually think is a very smart guy, made a comment. He said, the real pain is probably coming. And if you've been around Inman at all, he uses negative headlines to grab people's attention. However, the meat of this article is actually inside the article. And one of the comments he makes, he says, I actually love a storm. Now, why do you think Zillow's CEO says, I love a storm?
Because there's always going to be an opportunity when there's change.
Yes.
He's well versed in taking advantage of opportunity because he's prepared for it when it shows up.
Yep. Warren Buffett, he quotes Warren Buffett saying, Warren Buffett likes to say, you don't know who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. A lot of people are swimming naked right now, getting exposed. I'll give you that one, Rick.
I mean, I think he's referencing a lot of, people who've overspent, undercapitalized, leveraged, maybe syndications that are buying a lot of multifamily and office that, are stretched and used bridge financing that are now resetting at current rates. They build a pro forma and they go attract investors because of, the return. And if not many of them predicted a double or tripling of their, short-term rate to carry that, big debt.
Yep.
So cash is king. That's what it comes down to. And that's what he's saying.
Yep. He said, I actually think in stormy weather, it's when leaders are the happiest. He said, it's when the value of what we do as leaders is high. I would replace the word leaders and put realtors in there and say, I actually think in stormy weather, it's when realtors are the happiest. He said, it's when the value of what we do as realtors is high. And our value as real estate professionals actually goes up when the market gets tighter compared to when it's really good. You understand, like when houses are selling in 2 days, nobody wants to pay your full commission. The builders do everything they can not to pay a commission. When the market tightens, they're begging to pay us a commission. Sellers are begging us to do a great job in selling their house. The value goes up. So the truth is, as we started, the winners and losers, I hate the word loser because there's not really a loser, but the truth is the people that focus, focus on activities, focus on strategy, and do the work are going to find the opportunity in this market and succeed at such a high level. It's a big deal.
Well, on the two sides of that coin, Brett, one is understanding the market, understanding data and numbers, and being able to be, create a compelling path to sharing that information. The other half is, how do you stand out in the sea of agents who, a third are going to, if the market continues to shift, are going to probably fall into more almost frustration and desperation. And so how do you outvoice them in a compelling enough way that people are willing to pay the premium it takes to work with the number one agent in the market area?
There you go.
And so it's two pieces. It's marketing and spend, but it's also, an underbelly of truth and fact that's compelling enough to be more magnetic than your competition. Go, Sean.
And it's bringing conversations like this to the equation with our sellers and understanding the market. And I don't think we're headed for a repeat of 2008 and 2009. But speaking as someone who was an active listing agent in 2008 and 2009, what I quickly found was my clients were listening to me and asking me for advice again. Where before I would show up and they're like, how little will you charge me for your commission to sell my house?
All day long.
What do we have to do to sell our house? And suddenly their cousins, brothers, nephew who just went to, college with somebody and just got a license wasn't listing their house for 4% for them. They wanted someone who knew what they were doing. And so this is an opportunity for us to really seize that chance to be the educators for our clients. And in the end of the day, our job is to educate our buyers and our sellers to the best that we can. And ultimately it's their decision to make. But this is the storm is when educated agents will shine.
100%. All right, let's get really smart for a minute.
Take advantage of it and purchase properties themselves.
Do what?
And well-financed, cash-rich agents will take advantage of it and make purchases themselves.
Yeah. So let's get real smart for a minute. The AI is really taken over by a storm right now. And when I say AI, that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But I will tell you, there's some really cool stuff going on in this space, and there's some time traps going on in this space. And you got to understand which is which. So it talks about, obviously, there's a product called ChatGPT, which does a lot of writing of content. But you've got to understand that when you're playing, here it talks about, perhaps its easiest place to start is take a look at your workflow and content spend, if relevant. In other words, if you're outsourcing content, i.e., having people write content, are there places where you could just have AI write content for you? I'll give you an example. I was asked to write a testimonial yesterday on a seminar I attended. And my brain just wasn't working. Like, I couldn't get the words together. So I thought, I'm just going to go ask the AI bot, hey, write me a testimonial on this seminar. And it was the best testimony I've ever written in my entire life. And it was exactly what I would have said. And I sent it off. Took me 5 minutes. Yet I probably would have spent an hour trying to write that testimonial to make it sound good, right? Or 30 minutes, right? So it did save me time. However, if we're all asking the same AI to write a blog post on the difference between renting and owning real estate, Rick's blog post is going to be the exact same as Sean's and the exact same as mine. And it actually works against us when we're trying to rank our websites or rank and write unique content. So you got to understand that sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, depending on what you're using it for. But at the end of the day, this is really starting to take our industry by storm. Are y'all playing with this at all? What are you doing, Sean?
Yeah, so mostly what I have found it most practical right now is not to generate all of my content for me, but to wordsmith my content. So,
Okay.
There's a couple of like what I felt we were becoming long-winded emails dealing with, sort of sensitive information, but I wanted to be very clear, but I wanted it to sound right. And so I would type the email, maybe 6 paragraphs, and I would run it through and say, write a better version of this, is what I told him. And it wrote a better version.
Yeah.
With your emails, it's really easy. I put those in and say, write a better version. They come out great. I say that as a joke because I played with one of Brett's emails when we started
He
playing.
did. He rewrote one of my emails. It's really good.
But it was, here's what
I'm
gonna
not
tell you.
offended.
What I'm going to tell you is that, by the way, they write mine better too. Don't just tell it to write a better email and send it. Read what you change, because some parts of it, it'll hear a word that might have multiple definitions and it'll read it in a different way and it'll write it back. So this is a good tool to kind of check yourself and go, hey, did I craft this in the most in a well-flowed way, or can it work a little bit better? So I've used it to refine my emails, or I might even take a listing. If I was taking a listing, I was writing a description of the listing, I might plug it in and say, hey, what's a better version of this, and see how maybe they come up with a better adjective for something or euphemism for something.
Yeah.
But don't just ask it to change it and then cut and copy it, because you can end up with it making a statement that doesn't make sense.
There you go. So let me say it this way. If you think about technology in the term of innovators and then early adopters and then early majority, late majority, and laggards, how technology rolls out, this is past the innovator stage. We are very much in early adopter stage of artificial intelligence. And I would almost argue we're about to move into early majority. Because if you're not playing with this kind of technology in your real estate business, you're starting to maybe almost be a little bit behind the 8 ball at this point. Like, it's moving that fast. You should be checking out some of this stuff and familiarizing yourself.
I'll give you
Chat
some empirical
GPT.
evidence, Brad.
Go ahead.
I'll give you some empirical evidence. Is that try to get on Dolly and have it do an image for you right now? You can't, because it keeps saying servers are busy, because it's become mainstream adoption of people. They're mostly goofing off with it, getting a picture of an angry cat flying a spaceship or something, but you can't get their servers right now.
Yeah. So Chat GPT is the big one. Jasper AI for content creation. Grammarly when you're trying to write something good. Bing for AI powered search. Otter AI, I've played with this. It basically shows up in all my online meetings and takes notes. I can sit in a training class and turn it on, and it transcribes the entire training class for me. I don't know about these chat bots or Dolly, which you were just talking about. I will tell you, Mark Jones sent me this over the weekend. Apparently there is a Sheet GPT plug extension to Chat GPT that when it creates all the content, puts it into a spreadsheet for you. I mean, it's just crazy. And if you're not tuned into this, you're probably going to get behind the 8 ball a little bit. All right. Where do I want to go next? I think this is important to point out.
We leave the chat to recognize, let's call that a tool and not a strategy right now.
Yes, of course. That's what I said.
Yeah.
You have to understand where it's good and where it's a time trap.
Well, and it needs to sound like you. That's the other thing. If the world knows you, I mean, don't overnight turn into a computer. I mean, it's not going to, people do business with people.
Yeah, of course. All right. Who's Freddie Mac?
It's a guy that owes me $5.
Yeah. Huh.
No, Fred, that's the federal government's backing of the lending industry. Sorry.
Yeah. So you go to your favorite lender, you get a loan, they close on the loan, and a lot of loans are sold to companies that are backed by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. These are government-based big warehouse lines of loans. And when they make a incentive, it's pretty widespread in the lending institution. So what this article is saying is Freddie Mac is seeking to boost Black and Latino homeownership in Atlanta. Here's what it's saying. Hang on, I got to sign in again. Hold on. They're doing down payment assistance.
Yeah, $3,000.
$3,000 in down payment assistance for credit-worthy Black and Latino first-time home buyers. First time I've seen first-time home buyer incentives in a while. So this is something, if you typically your sphere of influence is buying houses in Atlanta, and you have people in your sphere of influence that would qualify for this down payment assistance, you absolutely need to familiarize yourself with it. And I think your lenders need to familiarize themselves with it as well. This first time I heard of it, I saw this article this morning, and the intention behind it is to help bridge the homeownership gap. So there's some really, really powerful, good motivation behind this first time home buyer incentive. So I think I would definitely encourage everybody to be aware and understand this. Last couple things real quick. Atlanta luxury home prices keep rising despite declining sales. I think it's interesting because, what causes prices to go backwards is when inventory hits 6 months. Like, you really have to move into a buyer's market before prices start going backwards. I don't see our luxury price points at that 6 month of inventory yet. Yes, there's less sales, but there's also less buyers. And as long as that balance keeps the inventory to where it's not more than 6 months on the market, you won't see the prices really starting to take a dip. Any comments on that?
I think at the high end of luxury, by that I mean over 2 million, we're in a place where I'm not going to say we're recession proof, but you're looking at buyers who are purchasing on lifestyle, not on finance. These people aren't going, hey, I'm looking to make a strategic investment that's going to give me a 7% return, and I'm going to sell. These are people who are going, I want that badass game room in the basement, and I want that pool, and I want that lazy river, and I'm going to buy that house no matter what it costs.
Yeah, they're buying emotionally, right?
It's a lifestyle. These are lifestyle buyers that you're attracting here, not savvy investors.
There you go. Last thing, Georgia is top state for all cash home sales. Wow. Cash is king, right?
Well,
love
we're
to hear
also
from some of
very
that
popular
agent Like
popular
on
with
small,
investors.
see that a lot in Atlanta still, and at what price point are you seeing instant? And we're not a cash buyer who's an individual who has the cash, but institutional cash buyers. I own a lot of properties in Atlanta and in Macon. I see a lot more in Macon than I'm seeing in Atlanta right now.
There you go.
Is anybody else here? I'm curious if any agents on the call are seeing cash buyers in Atlanta that are institutions more than individuals.
Might have dried up.
Okay.
All right, gentlemen, wrap us up. What do we need to focus on? What's in our scripts and dialogues this week?
For me,
If you want to list, you have to list now.
Yes.
that's good.
Go ahead. Why make that, develop that a little more?
That right now they have a window of opportunity where inventory is still low and prices are still increasing, and they want to list before they have more competition when all the sellers start listing.
Absolutely.
I'd say sometimes buyers and sellers don't know the right questions to ask. So when you know the answers, feeding them the right question is a brilliant strategy. And in fact, one quick example might be, based on the information I've shared and shown, what is the likelihood that seasonality drives prices up or down based on, buyer challenges and interest rates, and let them self-prescribe. You prescribe a solution based on their self-appointed opportunity, need, or uncertain reality.
If you're looking for sitting in front of somebody's script and you can't get them to put the words, if you can't put the words in your mouth, you're trying to, what I would always go to say, if I was buying a house right now, here's what would be important to me. And I would share that. I said, is that something important to you? Before I even go into my presentation, validate it's important to them. But if I was selling right now, I would be wanting to make sure I get the highest dollar value while there's the most active buyers, while rates are at least stabilized. Is that where you are with things? And then that gives you,
Yeah.
always stronger when it feels like it's in their words. If you can't lead them there, you can sort of drag them there with that script.
Absolutely.
Happy Monday, gentlemen. Ladies,
See you guys.
enjoy it. Have a good one.